All right, we are at the Milwaukee, Wisconsin card show. This is my second time being here. I am in a different location this time. My slabs here, boxes here, singles here. And then I got my sealed stuff here, extra stuff. Let's walk around the venue here. All right, so you enter in over here, and then there's a big long hallway here with Pokemon vendors and sports vendors. So then I'm just gonna walk around of the area. So I believe over here is where they're doing the signings. Could be wrong. Oh, no, not over here. So looks like this is where our concession stuff is. Right here. Drinks. You got some sports stuff. A lot of Pokemon here. A lot of sports cards. Doesn't start for another hour. This is the show so far. You even got like some stuff to sign. There's gonna be some Packer players here, Brewer players, a bunch of different sports players. So they have a bunch of cards and helmets and stuff. This is where they'll be signing. I know Brett Favre will be here, but that's about it. I don't know much about sports. I know Favre will be here. Pretty big area. I think it's like 300 tables. We got Zion cases here. Bunch of different sports stuff. Sealed stuff. So yeah, last year was on the 3rd floor, and I was in the corner of the room. I did pretty good last year. So I'm doing it again this year. But yeah, it's a big area. Really huge. There's a lot of sealed.
Oh boy, here we go, here we go.
A lot of sealed stuff. That should be fun. They said Pokemon, sports. I don't see much of the other stuff. Yeah, that's the main show here. And then we're back to my spot. So yeah, the signing goes on over there, and I'm right here. So hopefully I get to see Brett Favre. So you looking for a cash trade?
Cash.
Cash?
Yeah.
$393, $353, $408, $370, $400, $4. I'd probably be comfortable valuing this at $400. I guess depending what you're looking for, that would be cash number.
Yeah, I'd like to get to 300.
300.
Nice and even.
What is that? That's 75%. I can do that. You want to do that? Okay, that works for me. I'm going to double check all this here. We are taking in a Latias and Latios PSA 10 GX here.
Yeah.
$300. Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you. What's the best card I've ever sold? I've sold a Van Gogh PSA 10 and a Victini. We did a trade for and some cash for it, so I did that. How do I decide prices on my cards? So cards I go off of TCG Player, and slabs I use Alt, and that goes to eBay last sold. And I usually price out my cards all on TCG Player, and I also use sealed on TCG Player. Sometimes I use Collector for my sealed stuff also, depending how fast I need to get stuff done. What is the fastest selling Pokemon I've seen at shows? Usually Rayquaza, Deoxys, Giratina, Darkrai, Charizard obviously. Those are the ones I see. Do graded cards or raw cards sell better? I would say raw cards usually sell better than graded cards. Graded cards seem to sit a lot. When you go down towards like the lower end of Wisconsin, that's where I'm at. That's where you sell a lot of the slabs. Have you ever taken a big loss on a card? What happened? Big loss on a card. I guess the only one that I could think of right now, I haven't done one in a while, but I would say the Charizard, the Mega Charizard EX, I would say. Bought that at $1,000 and now it's obviously worth $300. I would say that was probably the biggest loss. How's it going? Most awkward or funny interaction I've had with the buyer? Probably just when I mess up prices, I would say. How much cash would someone bring if they were at a card show their first time? I'd say cash depends on what you want. You should bring your sealed stuff or your cards you pulled to card shows so you can trade for things you want. Cash-wise, I would budget yourself. Some people can spend more than others. I initially started with $1,000 and walked around and bought things I liked or graded things I liked. Do kids or adults buy more stuff? I would say adults probably buy more. What sets are the hottest right now? I would say just like the new sets that come out. Phantasmal, or even Sword and Shield right now. How do you protect your cards at busy conventions? Just put them in top loaders. I recently just got cases for my sealed stuff because I'm constantly moving them in boxes and I don't want to rip them because then you lose value on them. So I bought these sealed protectors on Amazon, so I use that right now. Any tips for negotiating without offending people? Any tips with negotiating? I would just say, I think you should always ask instead of just paying sticker price. Obviously, if you're buying a bunch of cards, you can go lower on deals. I don't think there's really a offensive way to go about dealing with cards. You can always ask, like if a card's $100 and you say 70, obviously that could be a little offensive, but again, we have to make money too, and you obviously need a card for cheaper, so I mean, it depends. Always talk, you know. All right, so they're coming by and they're picking up these cards here, and we are getting the Absol, Charizard, and Pikachu, just straight trade. So there you go.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
If I find a Flygon somewhere, I'll
Okay, yeah.
give it to
Let me
you.
know.
Sure.
Let me know. All right, back to the Q&A. What mistakes did you make early on as a new vendor, and what new vendors should avoid? I would say if you're a new vendor, best thing you could do is start making friends with other customers, I would say. Create those relationships, remember their name. Their name is very important, obviously, to them. So try to remember names early on. Handshake, make sure it's obviously firm, look them in the eye kind of thing. Always try to get to know them so when they come back you can bring up something. Mistakes that I made. I don't know if there is really any mistakes. A lot of mistakes I think I make is I cut deals before anyone says anything. So I can say card's $10, I'll end up just going to $5 just because I'm nice. Sometimes a lot of the profit loss is in that, but again, you're trying to make relationships with people. Is vending at card shows actually profitable, or is it just a hobby? I try to keep this a hobby. I try to collect everything I like, so if I don't sell it, then I have a collection of my own. It is very profitable. Like I said, a lot of the times it's just pricing your cards, which takes a long time, but it is very profitable if you can make it. Obviously, you have to put money into it first. But what is my dream card? I don't really have a dream card. I think obviously a Charizard. I think a Charizard first edition Shadowless would be cool. It's hard for me to collect PC cards because of how much value Pokemon cards are. I started a PC collection in like a small binder like this, but then when I started collecting these cards, they started going up like double to 3 times, so then I had to take them out of PC and put them in my display case. So right now I just collect like small $4 or $3 cards right now, because it's hard for me to put like a Dragonite V from Evolving Skies in here when it is so much money. So that's why I just collect what I like and I just put them in my cases, and if someone buys it, it's all right. How do you prepare inventory before a big show? Like I said, just pricing out a lot of cards. Obviously, collector, bring 1 of each sealed item. Binder cards usually stay. I don't really edit the prices on those ones, but so it's mainly for that. Do you think Pokemon is still growing or is it cooling off? I think Pokemon is growing still, not as steep as before. Obviously, each new set makes the Pokemon go up a little bit. But I think it is still going in an upward direction, but not as high as it was like 6 months ago. Would you recommend card shows to new collectors? I would. This is the best way to find deals, best way to buy cards you like. Obviously, collect what you like. Don't collect what everyone is collecting or what's hot right now. Because if you don't know a card, then how do you sell it? You know what I mean? Like, how do you, like a product, like if you have a product and you don't know much about it, how are you going to sell it? You know what I mean? So I just collect what I like or what I know. With the Sword and Shield era, I know a lot of that kind of stuff. That stuff forward, Scarlet Violet stuff. So that's mainly what I collect. What's the #1 card people ask you that you never have? Wooper. Alolan Wooper. A lot of people ask for that, and now I have a bunch of them. Do you prefer small local shows or big shows? I prefer small local shows. You're noticed more. There's less big vendors. Like here, there's just 300 tables, which is a lot. So it dilutes the pool of vendors or customers coming up to you. How early do you show up to get deals? I'd say, like, we usually have to be at shows around 8 p.m. So if you could show up around that time, you could probably get good deals, but obviously later on in shows, you probably can get better deals depending on how someone does. What's something buyers don't realize about being a vendor? I think a lot of the price negotiation, like if I buy a card at $70 and it's worth $100, and then someone offers me, or let's say I take in a card at 100, or I take a card in at 80%, which is $80, and the card's worth 100, and then someone wants to bid down to like $85, which is only $15 margin. But again, I would only make $5 on that card kind of thing. So I think a lot of that stuff is misunderstood. So obviously we need to still make a profit because of table costs and everything like that. Have you ever sold a card and regretted it? Yeah, I mean, every time I take in a Dragonite V from Evolving Skies, it's basically my PC card. But when I put it in my case, someone obviously wants it, so they trade for it, they want cash for it. So that's obviously something I don't really like selling, but obviously it is part of the business. So I like taking in those cards. What card do you always keep in your case, even if it never sells? Nothing. I always pull everything out. How do you spot a fake Pokemon card at shows? Usually the card is a lot lighter on the back, and then it doesn't have texture on the front. You could usually tell. Do you think grading is still worth in 2026? I would say yes. I mean, the margins obviously would have to be there because it's taking 3 months to get your stuff back. It used to be 30 days. I'm sitting on a bunch of cards waiting to grade because I don't know whether or not to send it in or not. What's your rule of holding versus selling a card? I don't really have a rule. How do you handle low bar offers without getting annoyed? I just tell them, basically, I can only go down like $15 and that's about it. And if they take it, they don't take it. If they don't, they don't. What Pokemon card do you think is underrated? I think the Shining cards. The Shining cards are underrated, I think. Like Shining Lugia, Shining Celebi. I think cards like that. Do you trade cards or just strictly buying or selling? I trade a lot. I think before the whole boom, it was a lot of cash, people buying, me buying for them, you know. Now it's just trade. So it's like, the trading is fine because you're always going up 20% every time because I buy at 80%. What's the most someone has ever spent at your table? I'd probably say, there was a local card store. He was buying at 80%. And he bought a lot of my singles for 80%, which was fine because he's a buddy of mine. So that was a big deal. It was over $2,000. Do you price higher expecting negotiations or firm? I price exactly what I see. I've seen people price $20 over to expect to get a lowball offer, but I don't really like doing that. I like to price exactly what it is. Obviously, $5 is whatever, you know, card shift. How do card show prices compare to online prices? Usually card show prices are a little higher than online prices because people don't really like changing their sticker a lot, so always look up your prices on cards. What's your go-to binder page that gets people to stop at your table? One thing that irritates me is when a binder is like this, where there's not two pages. That's why I always take my pages and flip them like this, because now you're seeing I don't know, 18 cards instead of only 9. So I always like to have it a whole table like that. Have card shows changed since I first started? I would say yes. There was fewer vendors. There was fewer people doing videos also. There's also people walking around now buying tables usually for shows. I would say, and also shows are mainly sports back then, but now it's becoming more Pokemon for the shows. What advice would you give someone bringing cards to sell for the first time? Okay, advice I would give you when you're selling cards for the first time is have a list of your cards that are in your binder so that I don't have to price out every single card. Like if you want a $100 card and you have like $5 cards in your binder, I would appreciate if you had it in a TCG list so that I can see how much your list is, and then I can also know the amount of cards that you have. It's just easier on us vendors. What's the weirdest thing someone tried to trade for a Pokemon card? I haven't really had any of that. If Pokemon disappeared tomorrow, what TCG would you switch to? Nothing. Pokemon is just it. I don't want to get into anything else. Do you think modern or vintage has better future? I think vintage, obviously. Modern is still good. Sword and Shield era is what I still collect. Vintage obviously is going to keep getting older and older, so it's going to keep going up. So if you could try to get near mint copies of vintage stuff. What is the most overhyped card in your opinion? Most overhyped card? I'd say any of the VMAXs in Evolving Skies. I don't like any of them. I think they're just too overpriced. And prismatic. Like Evolutions, I get it, but I don't know. How much inventory do you bring to a one-day show versus a two-day show? I think I bring the same amount of inventory to a one-day show and a two-day show. Obviously, a three-day show, I usually bring more sealed, but the singles and stuff are all the same. I got it down to a T of just taking 2 trips to the car, and that's all I have. What's your end goal, full-time vendor or side hustle forever? All right, this is always going to be a side hustle. I like doing this, but obviously it's more of a hobby. I don't want this to be full-time. There's just a lot of greed in this hobby too. So it's also hard to be around people like that. But I like the interactions with people collecting certain cards or stuff like that. But I couldn't do this full-time. There's no way. It already takes up a lot of my time. So yeah, that's the end of the Q&A. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Put that in the comments. I'll be putting this video up. I'll have a 3-day show of this. So, the booster box? Yeah?
How do you accept payment?
PayPal or cash?
Okay. I can do PayPal.
PayPal? Okay.
There are gifts.
Yes. You got one? Cool.
Found it for you.
Appreciate it. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Thanks. Appreciate it, guys. It's someone come in and drop off a Flygon, so it's appreciated. Thank you. Perfect.
Yep. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to rip it here. So.
Okay, I do have sleeves and stuff, top loaders.
Okay.
Let me know.
Awesome.
I can get you some.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. Someone came by and bought a mega booster box for $220. All right, that's a wrap for day 1 of the show. Stay tuned. I will have day 2 and 3 coming up.